and we'll move on to the Chief Executive report. Brendan.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd just like to bring a small number of matters to the attention of councillors. I'll take the report as read. Both the Mayor and Kim Money have already talked this morning about the successful opening of Taiaroa and the 14,000 people through over Queen's Birthday weekend, and that project was brought in under budget and on time, so fantastic event there. And we've talked about Jelly Park, but also just to bring to councillors' attention that the refurbished Pioneer Rec and Sports Centre opened earlier in May. The LTP has both kept councillors busy but also staff busy, and there's commentary in the report on that. I note the successful election of Tyrone Fields following the by-election to the Banks Peninsula Community Board, and just finally included in your information is a supplementary report, and the Mayor's also circulated some separate information regarding the appointment of Helen Beaumont to lead the improvements to the water program. So this is recognition that the experiences that we've had to date and historically with what was known as the Mayoral Task Force for flooding. This is a type of project that does require dedicated and skilled expertise, and the appointment of Helen to this role we think will make a measurable difference to the quality of the outputs that we're getting. And we think this is a recognition of the talents and expertise that Helen also brings to the role. She's well known to councillors, has got the technical background and very experienced in water matters. So we're looking forward to her getting her feet under the desk here. She's already started in the role. The appointment is reporting directly to the Chief Executive. It's for 12 months. The reason for the 12-month appointment is that her role is expected to both manage the Wellheads Improvement Program, the temporary chlorination, but also to prepare and ensure that we're in the right position to respond to any central government changes, which might go well beyond the 12-month period. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you. Jamie.
It's more of a suggestion. I wonder if you could take it back to Carleen, but it's I'm finding this less helpful than what it used to be. I think it's and thank you for that, and thank you for the commentary around that last bit, but just by way of a suggestion, I don't know what other councillors think, but I really like the dashboard approach which used to be taken, and I'm finding that it's sort of gravitating more to a newsletter approach, which is fine, and there's some good stuff in there, but it's just being able to track that progress with things. So it's like service delivery, CapEx, OPEX, key metrics, maybe the major projects and how they're tracking, or IT rollout and that sort of stuff, and then just a dashboard approach around year to date versus full year, and budget actual, and then variance, and then forecast actual and variance. That sort of stuff is really helpful in a CE's report. So that's a suggestion from me, that that dashboard approach on some of those key metrics are really helpful, and the newsletter approach stuff is great, but a lot of the stuff we already know and are briefed on, so that's just my 2 cents worth on that. Yeah, if possible, please.
Yep. Okay.
Depending on what others think.
Yep. Yanni.
Thank you. Just two questions. One is in regards to the chlorination issue. Are we able to get an understanding of progress in terms of how many wellheads have been secure, and get some more regular reporting on progress? And related to that, are we able to produce a map showing where people can get either filtered water or non-chlorinated water? I mean, I don't quite know how we get progress on these issues. They have been emailed through, raised.
I'm happy to take those 2 issues back to the team and pass that on to Helen and the team.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
so
there's a report coming to council next week. So, I don't know that the second issue will be covered off on that, but the first issue certainly will be. So, because there's a lot of work that has been going on for months now in relation to assessing each of the wellheads in relation to their pumping station, because as we know, the chlorine goes in at the pump, not at the wellhead, and we want to reduce the amount of chlorine going into the water as quickly as possible, with the intention of removing it as soon as we possibly can altogether. So
in terms of the report next week, if we've got ideas for things like that have been raised, maybe council selling at cost water filters, or maybe having filling stations at our service centres and libraries for non-chlorinated water, is that the time to raise those issues?
yes, so raise them then, because I mean literally Helen Beaumont, and I really welcome the focus that the Chief Executive's brought to this issue, because what it signals is an overarching approach, recognising that this is not just a council issue, it's a Ministry of Health issue, it's a drinking water assessor issue, it's a medical officer of health issue, and it's obviously of primary concern. It's a community issue. They want to get back to chlorine free as soon as possible, and so do we. Tim.
Thank you. Look, I sent it through to Carleen, and it's actually from a resident, although I'd love to take the credit, I can't, about a regular update here, and now Helen's in place, because you're absolutely right, this is a city issue, a residents issue, a ratepayers issue, and probably the single most important issue.
Yep.
Second, even over above the LTP, to have the live updates, so we are live streamed, and to have the odd update to councillors is, I think, great, but for the residents, a waste of time. So I think to have Helen or somebody doing a regular update here and live would be a really helpful thing, and Carleen agreed with that. So.
Yeah, there's also a blog that's now developed through Newsline, which is being regularly updated as well. So the blog will now contain Helen's new role, and she'll be in front of the council next week. Yeah, so it's been enormously challenging for her to take the role up last Friday, and she's in front of council next Thursday.
But that could be a permanent something every month or whatever.
Yeah.
So the public.
Yes, that's a very good idea.
Thank you.
Who had their hand up? Dion?
Just on the resource consent stuff, you say that you're doing a review of the engagement strategy. A number of us around the table always get sort of, complaints about the resource consenting process and stuff like that. Can we feed into that review?
Of course.
Thank you. That'd be good.
Good. Any other questions? No? Would someone like to move that the report be received? Tim? Seconded by Mike. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried.